So here's where I'm going to take and off and throw away my VMware hat for just a second. Right? It talks about making vCenter highly available, and this gets into a layer 8 decision. Right? You're familiar with the 7 layers of the OSI model, right? And I get lost after the physical, right? I know there's transport in there, but VMware and virtualization introduced the 8th layer of that OSI model, and that is the political layer, right? The political layer says that you or your boss or your team or management or whoever is going to make decisions, right? And it used to be very, very, very controversial, right? I've got my management platform, my vCenter. Can it run as a virtual machine? And then people will say, well, you have to have vCenter to do HA. That's true. So if I'm running vCenter as a virtual machine and my system crashes, I'm done. Not necessarily, right? There are ways that we can get around that. So that layer 8 decision, that political decision of what you want it to be, here's my thing with all this stuff. And this is all good, but here, think about this. How quickly can I spin up a vCenter server? Real quick, right? I can spin up a vCenter server in 2 notes, 3 notes, right? I mean minutes, right? I can spin up a virtual machine, be it the appliance or vCenter running as a virtual machine. I could probably spin that up in less than an hour, right? Now what I can't recover is the database information. So that's important to me, that I want to make sure that we're taking care of that database. Yes, you should do exactly what they're saying here. I agree with what they're saying, right? But to make sure that this is highly available, the database, create a cluster for the database. See the documentation for your database, right? If you're using Oracle or SQL, check with them. Authentication for your identity source, right? For use with single sign-on and Active Directory. Most of you, if you're a Windows shop, I can't guarantee, most likely you're running multiple domain controllers. You don't have just one domain controller, right? Because you know you have to have redundancy. If one goes down and you don't have another, things are going to not work the way you want them to. So you have that built in already, right? So set up multiple redundant servers. Now, methods for making vCenter highly available. Use HA to protect the virtual center server. I can actually, right, set up an HA cluster, and if I lose a host, those virtual machines that were running on that host that went down, I can restart those on surviving nodes. Plus, I could set up a high priority for my vCenter server, say that I want you to restart my vCenter server before